Welcome to our first webinar. It's 1 o'clock right now, but we'll wait a few more minutes to have other people join us. And I would like to thank you all so much for coming. I'm sure you're going to learn something new about United Help Ukraine today. I hope you do know our organization. I will introduce myself and we'll lead today's webinar. It's our first ever, and it's very exciting for us that we have this audience with us today. Today, I will be speaking on behalf of United Help Ukraine. If you don't know me, my name is Maryna Baydyuk, and I'm the president and executive director of this organization that started back in 2014. And I see we have about 21, 22 people that are joining us, and I hope more will join later. But I really want to have this webinar as an introductory one. It's our very first one, but also want to have it more informal. So because we don't have too many people, I really welcome all your questions, comments. We have a chat going. I will be checking it periodically. But what I want you to get from today's webinar is understanding who we are, what we do, our accomplishments in the past 10 years, but really focusing on our efforts since the full-scale invasion of Russia in Ukraine started. And with this, as you see my opening slide, I would like to quickly go through one of the videos that we put together as an overview of our two-year work that we have as a team accomplished quite a bit in those past 2 years. And the movie that you're going to see, it's a very short clip, but it really encompasses a lot of initiatives that we were able to start and implement, and these initiatives are successfully going even now.
We are thankful for such cool things for United Help Ukraine.
Ми щиро вдячні нашим колегам United Help Ukraine за допомогу. Разом до перемоги! Слава Україні!
This is our video that we put together for 2 years of our work, which were the most, I guess, the hardest for us as an organization, but also we've achieved quite a bit. And I saw a couple of questions already in the chat. I can address them quickly. One of them was whether we can have a fundraiser with President Zelensky. Great suggestion, and it's going to be very hard to achieve. President Zelensky is a busy man fighting the war, so I don't think he's participating in any fundraising galas or things like that right now. However, in the future, I think that's very possible and hope we can do that. Another question was, what are the IFACs? That you probably saw it in the video, and I will talk about this. This is individual first aid kit, and our organization has been providing tens of thousands of first aid kits to defenders. They help save lives on the battlefield and help provide our Ukrainian defenders with what they need to survive. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and start my presentation. If you don't have any other questions, if you do, please put them in the chat. I will try to address them as we go. I will also probably pause after each segment describing many initiatives that we have, and then you will be able to also ask your questions. And again, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and or just speak up. Again, we have a relatively small group today, so we can have it at a very different type of webinar. You can be more engaged, you can ask questions, put comments, and also participate in this webinar as much as you want. So I just want to say a few words about United Help Ukraine if you don't know us. We started back in 2014, and in 2024, this year, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. We started as a grassroots, 100% volunteer-based organization. And since the very beginning in 2014, we started as an organization providing humanitarian aid, medical aid, and also supporting Ukrainian defenders. We also started as an organization that was raising awareness. Our activists, before we were organized as a 501c3 nonprofit, we started back in 2013, winter of 2013, 2014, coming as a group to the White House, to Russian embassy, and at that point also to Ukrainian embassy, protesting illegal actions of, at that time, corrupt regime, pro-Russian regime of Yanukovych. But we're also, when the war started, when we think of war starting back in March of 2014 with annexation of Crimea, we also wanted to support Ukrainians, and we wanted them to be able to defend themselves, their sovereignty. And this is what our mission has been since then, to provide the people of Ukraine with critical support that will enable them to survive in the face of adversity, defend, regain, and rebuild their sovereign territory, and thrive well into the future. Really, this mission hasn't changed since 2014, unfortunately. And as I talk to people, I always say, we would rather spend millions of dollars not providing defenders with first aid kits, but investing into Ukrainian future, such as education, medical help, and other areas that definitely any country can benefit from. Since the war started back in 2022, and for all of us, it was quite a shock. However, some of us, like me and others, were already preparing for this. I remember the night of when the full-scale invasion started, with bombing of multiple cities in Ukraine. Leaders of several organizations were sitting in the Zoom, already strategizing and thinking how we can help Ukraine. At that time, United Help Ukraine and other organizations such as Razom, Nova, Revived Soldiers for Ukraine, Sunflowers of Ukraine, so and many other organizations were, I would say, comparatively small to where we are right now. And with just the $20,000, $30,000 in the bank, each organization, we're trying to figure out where we can be most impactful. However, for our organizations, things have changed, and things have changed to Ukraine and Ukrainians as well when Putin decided to invade Ukraine. And since then, because of the support of American people and the global community, our organization alone was able to provide over $65.5 million in medical supplies, tactical medicine, and humanitarian aid. And I think it's a great achievement for us, but also I think this is something that I attribute to efforts of my team. They've been amazing. We have lots of volunteers who help us. We have now staff and program managers that are carrying this mission further. And with this, I think it's very important to acknowledge also every one of you who are here today, because I'm sure that you are supporting Ukraine in any way you can. And the support Ukrainian people, I can tell you, they do feel, and they very appreciate. I've been to Ukraine twice since the full-scale invasion started. And let me tell you, everyone who I talked to, every Ukrainian that I talked to when I visited schools, medical establishments, people from the front lines who came for rotations, they all had a couple of things to say. Number one, they're very grateful for your support. Number two, they were all saying that without that support, Ukraine wouldn't be able to defend itself the way it does right now and continues to do so. And number three, everyone was saying the same thing: please continue supporting us. So those three things kind of in my mind every day when I need some inspiration. And I think that we as a community here, we can do more, and we as an organization can do more. But for us, I think this is a great achievement since 2022 to deploy $65.5 million in aid to Ukraine. Our biggest program is Defenders Aid. And as most of you know, this is the program that supports Ukrainian defenders with multiple things, such as protective gear, such as tactical medicine, which is important for survival, but also things like surveillance drones, evacuation vehicles. And we continue to make this program, unfortunately, we have to continue to make this program as powerful as it can, because Ukrainian defenders do need our help. We focus, as I said, safety, physical health, and overall well-being of Ukrainian defenders. Since the full-scale invasion started, we have deployed almost $25 million in aid through this program. And that's right now, it's probably close to 50,000 individual, actually 55,000 individual first aid kits, 130,000 plus tourniquets that are important to stop the bleeding on the battlefield before people can be evacuated. It's another very interesting area, and I'll talk about it in a minute, is we not only provide the equipment, we also want to train people to use this equipment. And we have so far trained 4,500 or more combat medics and soldiers on how to use and how to provide first aid either to themselves or to their wounded brothers and sisters on the battlefield. We also are involved in providing drones, laptops, notebooks, tablets, generators, and EcoFlow power station that are important components of the units that are at the battlefield. And for just tactical medicine alone, and again, back to the question, what is the first aid kit? This is what you can see here on this photograph. The first aid kit is given to each soldier to be able to use it for himself or herself on the battlefield, but also can be used by a medic. And it contains everything that can support a person's life during bleeding and other types of wounds before the soldiers can get evacuated to safety. As I said, you saw on the previous slide, it was 45,000 IFACs that we've provided, and we actually joined forces with a very famous Ukrainian band, Antitila. And during their tour, we auctioned a lot of items. We participated in fundraising activities during their tour, and we were able to raise over $640,000 to purchase 10,000 first aid kits for frontline defenders. So our numbers from 45,000 went up to 55,000. And this is a great achievement of our team and Antitila, who are themselves paramedics, and they were also participating in the battles to defend Kyiv back in March of 2022, and then Kharkiv. And they're very knowledgeable. And together we were able to put this first aid kit, 10,000 of those together. They're valuable, and now they've been distributed to multiple units. Our volunteers in Kyiv, Ukraine, put them all together. And you can see here in this picture, you can really see only 5,000 IFACs. Imagine 10,000 together. So that was a great achievement of so many people who worked together to provide 10,000 plus people their lifeline. And hopefully we have accomplished that. And also all of us don't want that any of those IFACs are used. However, we do hope if people use them, they can save lives. And during this, the concerts, there were a couple of very touching moments for us. At one of the concerts, when we were doing the auction, there was a wounded warrior with multiple wounds who was undergoing treatment for prosthetics and rehabilitation in Minnesota. He came to a concert in Chicago, and he gave his red beret as one of the very special part of his uniform to us to auction it. And it was one of those touching stories that he described when he was wounded. The first aid kit that was given to him by the volunteers saved his life, and he wanted to give that beret so we could sell it at the auction, and we can provide as many IFACs to his brothers and sisters in the battle in the front lines as possible. And it was interesting that two people were bidding for it, and the bid went up to $10,000, and two people were eager to purchase and contribute to our efforts. And we decided that we should not have a winner here. Both people can contribute 10,000 each. So beret went up to 20,000. So one beret was able to raise $20,000. And it was a very touching moment when people who won the bid, they said this beret should be returned, of course, to the owner. And it was something that shows how we as a community can work together and help our defenders. Something that I told you also, that we are not only providing first aid kits, we also want to make sure people know how to use them. And we do the tactical medical training for defenders. With this, we are fully supporting now International Center for Tactical Medicine in Kyiv, Ukraine, and I was there in March of this year. And this facility is really outstanding as it provides training in the classroom. So there's some didactic material that people can learn in the classroom, but they also have some simulations. They have the basement where there is no lights, there is smoke, and they can help, so they can learn how to help either themselves or their wounded combat soldiers who are next to them in the situation that's close to reality. They also have a field where they can practice evacuation, practice using stretchers and things like that. And on average, the center can train up to 1,000 people a month, which is a really huge number of people who can learn how to use and this first aid kits, and also hopefully can save their own lives. So I'm going to pause here before I go to the next program. And for Defenders Aid, one thing that I want to mention is that we are also going to be participating in the program with our partners at Victory Drones, Dignitas, and Ministry of Defense to train civilians now how to use technological devices such as drones and radios, and also will continue training civilians and defenders, and will focus even more on paramedics who are unfortunately targeted mostly at the battlefield. So we will provide that training with the new program that we are just establishing, and will continue to train tactical medicine at our school. So I'm going to go look at the chat now, but if you do have any questions, please let me know. Okay, what is United Help Ukraine doing to help the 14,000 evacuees in Kharkiv? Any special fundraising? So this fundraising will be part of our humanitarian and medical initiatives. I'll tell you a couple of examples here. So we as an organization try to be very proactive, but also as a first responder, we assess the situation and respond accordingly. When there was a Kakhovka Dam damage, if you remember, back in 2023, during the summer months, we were able to dispatch a container of, I would say, a truck in the size of the container to Kakhovka region to provide all types of humanitarian aid and also medical assistance to those who were affected. So in terms of what we're doing in Kharkiv, there are a couple of initiatives that are happening now in Kharkiv. We have humanitarian aid groups that are working there. We have partners in Kharkiv and region who we support on daily basis. So when we receive information from them, what is exactly needed for the evacuees, we will respond accordingly to this. Thank you, Kevin, who promises to support United Help Ukraine. And do we look for engineering skills outside Ukraine? This is something we can probably answer later. It depends on what type of engineering skills you have. And we do have a couple of projects that might involve engineering skills, but it's something to discuss. It depends, I guess. Okay, will do. Jim, thank you. We will discuss. I see your phone number. I will call later and discuss potential fundraising dinner. Absolutely. We're always looking for new opportunities to do so. And Mary Ann mentioned something. Yes, I know. This is a great story. Thank you. And then again, we want to continue telling this story because it actually brought me to tears as well. And I was there. And it was very hard for me emotionally to continue doing the auction when I saw that the soldier just gave his something that had a very special meaning to him. So yeah, thanks, Mary. Okay, so this will conclude this part, and then again, you can put those questions in the chat, and I'll continue checking it after each program, but also feel free to interrupt. And if you want to say something, please go ahead. Again, we have a relatively small group, so we can just go around and share our stories if you wish. So for medical aid, which also started back in 2014, and now this program is led by Dr. Anna Yabluchanska. This is one of the largest, it became one of the largest programs for us, totaling over $28 million in the past 2 years. We are providing medical supplies and specialized equipment to 118 hospitals across 12 regions in Ukraine. And we right now are focusing on supporting the following. It's emergency care, anesthesiology, surgery, trauma, and burns. Within this program, there are a couple of things that I just want to mention here. So one of them is that we started doing webinars, and today's webinar and our United Help Ukraine's webinars for public here in the US have a very different meaning. We just want to share what we're doing and how you can help and bring this community together. When we do webinars in Ukraine, this is when we ask American doctors with a great knowledge in a certain field to share that knowledge with Ukrainian doctors. We've had so far 3 webinars. One was on prosthetics and rehabilitation. Another one was on PTSD, which was highly attended. We had over 300 people on our Zoom meeting for this webinar. A lot of interest, of course, is in learning how to take care of patients with PTSD or people who have some other type of neurological and psychological traumas. And the third one was on traumatic brain injury. And as you may imagine, in Ukraine, the number of people with traumatic brain injury or penetrating traumatic brain injury is increasing daily. And it was interesting that we received that webinar, we had neurologists, we had doctors from the hospitals, but we also had paramedics who are providing before hospital care of those wounded and who evacuate them from the front lines on stretchers and then using our evacuation vehicles and getting them to stabilization centers and later to the hospitals. And one of those paramedics, in 2 days, we received a text from him. He said, can you please, and the seminar speaker was Dr. Robinson, and paramedic just texted us saying, please, can you tell Dr. Robinson that I was at his webinar and he provided a very valuable technique that I used during evacuation of one of the wounded who had penetrating traumatic brain injury. I used that technique and I was able to stabilize the patient and I basically saved his life. So that was something that really moved all of us, and including Dr. Robinson. And these are the types of webinars that we will continue doing to help Ukrainian medical community to learn from their colleagues here in the US, and also to provide as much resources to Ukrainian Ukrainian medics as possible. As you may imagine, right now, they are our unsung heroes. They're working 24/7, taking care of wounded. A lot of professional medics went to the front lines. And really, they are people who are working more than anyone else to save lives of Ukrainians. And so this is another aspect of this medical aid program that that we're helping with. One of the biggest challenges during the battlefield and later is medical evacuation. And I don't know if you've seen, but there are so many evacuation vehicles, even with the Red Cross on them, attacked by Russians. And I think lately people don't even put Red Cross on the evacuation vehicle or ambulance, because, especially at the front lines, because Russians are attacking them with their drones and rockets and things like that. But that means that we need to provide more and more assistance to help supply evacuation vehicles. Since 2022, we were able to provide over 400 evacuation vehicles, including, actually, I will give you a new number because it just came today, that we'll purchase additional 12 ambulances that will be delivered to the front lines. And we not only provide the vehicles, but we also make sure the vehicles are equipped with everything portable inside, so medical equipment such as ventilators, defibrillators, stretchers, and more, everything that needs to be in the vehicle to help save lives and stabilize patients while they're transported to safety. And I was in Ukraine in March of 2024, and I was happy to give the keys and provide 70th ambulance for this unit and for the medic of this unit that went straight to the front lines to start evacuating people from the battlefield. You will see this as a common motif for a majority of our programs. Not only that we want to provide something material, we really want to increase the capacity of Ukrainian people, give them tools and resources so they can do their work better. And again, we're focusing on medics here. We started Project 22 back in March of 2022, and this project started after the bombing. If you remember, the train station in Kramatorsk, when there were 160 plus patients that were delivered to the Kramatorsk hospital within hours, and unfortunately, the survival rate was much lower than it should have been because the hospital was not prepared to deal with mass casualty event. And we partner on this with Ukrainian Medical Association and also SAM, Syrian American Medical Society, and other organizations in Ukraine, such as Revive Institute for Ukraine. And this partnership, in this partnership, we wanted to provide hospitals, one, with a life vest kit, which was something that we put together to support 100 patients for 5 days. So each clinic that participated in the program would have. But importantly, and that was the main focus of this project, is to train hospital managers on capacity building and supplies management, but also triaging patients and knowing who they need to get care to first, and how you approach the situation. And you can see here on this picture that there were a couple of in-person conferences and workshops that we provided to management and the doctors and the heads of the hospital together, working on the situation. We provided different scenarios and they worked out different situations. And I'll tell you that, of course, at the beginning of this program, a lot of regional heads of the hospitals and other doctors would tell us, well, in the past 6 months of war, we've seen everything and we know how to triage, we know how to deal with any type of situation. And they were very skeptical about this program. However, once they sat through the workshop and they participated in those activities, they came out saying, wow, that really is going to help us build a good system within the hospital to manage the patients appropriately. And now we have 43 hospitals that are participating. They receive also from us guidance, and we have management personnel who are twice a week. They meet, they share their knowledge, they talk to our professionals. They have really good now relationship in terms of how to work together within the hospital to provide effective care and save as many lives as possible. Another program that we have under medical aid, project that we have under medical aid, and you might have seen this particular picture in Washington Post a few months ago. But we do organize fundraisers and help wounded Ukrainian warriors to come here to the US. We have several partners, including one in Silver Spring, Maryland, which is close to where we are. And we partner with them starting in 2022. We are providing non-medical expenses for the trip, and MCOP is providing prosthetics and rehabilitation. We also partner with Protest Foundation. This is an organization that is founded in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They also opened up their facility, which is an amazing facility in Kyiv, in one of the main streets of Kyiv. Actually, on the main street of Kyiv, you have a 2-story with the large windows, so people can see how wounded are receiving treatment and rehabilitation and physical therapy and such. So we were able to provide over $50,000 for them to purchase equipment that will be manufacturing prosthetic devices in Kyiv, Ukraine. So we have a couple of partners, and we are expanding this program as we understand that this need will only be growing, unfortunately. At the moment, by very low estimates, Ukraine has over 69,000 amputees. And unfortunately, each center can provide care up to maybe 20-40 people a month. So imagine how many centers are needed to support amputees, support their prosthetic treatment and rehabilitation. Within this program, we also found that we can do something else, and we provide equestrian therapy for Ukrainian defenders. We partnered with Kharkiv region NGO called Kharobrist, and with them, we were able to provide this therapy to over 680 defenders. And really, it's something that when you see a warrior who came from the front lines, who could be wounded or just having PTSD episodes, smiling and hugging this horse and knowing that that they can deal with their complex feelings, and really that is something unique, but something that can provide much needed healing for Ukrainian defenders. So I'm going to stop here and move to the chat before we go to psychological aid initiative that we have. And I'm going to quickly see. So does Unite Help Ukraine have opportunities for donors to sponsor children, sending them toys, school supplies? Yes, we do. And I will say a few words about those initiatives. In terms of sponsoring children, we do have children's program or project within humanitarian aid. We within a psychological aid program, SMUHA, we provide art supplies for children, toys, and educational tools for them. However, in terms of school supplies and toys, last year we partnered with Deloitte. They have Impact Day initiative where they dedicate their employees dedicate one day to work with a nonprofit to do something with their hands. So last year we sent 200 boxes of school supplies, art supplies, toys, and comforting items to 100 kindergarten and 100 preschools in Ukraine. And each box was about $350 with all kinds of things that will be needed for a bomb shelter. Unfortunately, that's the situation. So in Ukraine, that children often have to seek shelter in the basement. And a lot of schools now transforming their bomb shelters into a place where kids can learn. We also try to have some learning material there, but mostly some comforting items. So 200 schools in Ukraine received it before the school started in 2023. But we do welcome any initiative, and we can even create opportunities for donors and supporters to provide children's items. So that's a great question, Weber. Thank you. Okay, so there's some more math, physics tutoring. Amazing. That's great. We can contact you later to also exchange information and see how you can support tutoring. I will tell you another story that comes to my mind. We have last year, actually, we had a high school, she was sophomore at that time, or junior, she was junior, a high school junior who approached the embassy and Unite Help Ukraine saying, I'm tutoring now English to Ukrainian girl and who is in Ukraine. And she continued to work with her Ukrainian body throughout, from 2022 up until now. But she also wanted to do something more. So Amelia Cho, her name is, she came to Unite Help Ukraine and said, I want to do a fundraiser to support Ukrainian children. And so she pulled in her contacts, her mom, her friends, and they created a fundraiser that raised over $5,000 for Unite Help Ukraine. And more so, she said, well, I have some time this summer. Can I come to United Help Ukraine's office to volunteer? We said, of course, we would love any help from you. So she was helping us with all kinds of administrative stuff and other initiatives. And I was very happy to see her march with United Help Ukraine during the 4th of July Independence Day parade in Washington, D.C. So this is just another example that we really welcome people who can provide this type of support to Ukrainian children, whether it's tutoring or material support or any type of initiatives. Again, come talk to us. We'll be happy to set something up so you can participate, bring your friends, and do more. Yep, Kevin, your calculations are probably right, and I think it's probably even more than this. With people, and unfortunately, the number of wounded is only growing. So with this, that's how many facilities or more we will have to have. And another thing that to keep in mind, a person with an amputation, this is going to be not just to receive the prosthetic device and use it, that's it. However, that's something that a patient or a person with the amputation and his family or her family will need to live the entire life. So with the facilities for prosthetics, there also have to be as many or even more facilities for rehabilitation and constant care of people with amputations. And I'm not even talking about other types of injuries and wounds, and there are so many, unfortunately. So again, just emphasizing again how big is the need, and that we will need to have something in place for years to come. Erica is asking that you mentioned training webinars via Zoom. Yes, there are recordings, and they will be available on YouTube and everywhere else. So you can visit our website. We'll have medical recordings of the medical program. Will be partially in Ukrainian, part in English, part in Ukrainian, so they will be there. But webinars like this one will definitely be also available on our website and YouTube channel. We are located in, someone's asking, okay, Rick is asking where we're located. We're located in Fairfax, Virginia. Okay, great. Okay, that's it. Terrific. I'm going to move on with the psychological aid. And I said we will be only expanding this, unfortunately, because the need is great. Right now, we're focusing on children. We have been focusing since March 2022. We participated, actually, we were the ones who were sponsoring fully and taking a lead on a program called Hibuki, where we supplied over 600,000 Hibuki toys. Those are special therapeutic toys to help children cope with post-war traumas. We now expanded it because we realized that not only children need to receive, I mean, it's a quick realization, really, that we also need to support families. And now we have 50 art therapists trained. They're providing to 600 plus families much needed support. And we have 2 hubs in Kyiv and Bucha. There is another hub in Kharkiv region. So there families can come, receive much needed aid, and psychologists are working with children and their parents, their mothers, to provide them much needed mental health assistance. All right, I see one more question. Okay, someone needs to leave, but yes, please come back anytime. We'll have more webinars coming up. So that concludes our medical aid initiative, and I will move on to humanitarian aid, which is, again, something that we started back in 2014. And I remember it was 2014, but more we did 2015, 2016, when there were over 1.6 million people who had to be internally displaced from Donetsk and Lugansk region, where Russia started occupying these territories. And back then we started providing humanitarian aid and assistance to internally displaced people, or we call them IDPs. But now we also provide that to refugees. And it's probably I don't have the latest number, but it used to be over 10 million people who were either refugees or internally displaced in Ukraine. And now we see, and that was a question from someone in the chat, about 14,000 evacuees in Kharkiv. And the number again will be growing depending how situation is evolving in Kharkiv region. But we are doing our best to provide humanitarian aid to internally displaced people, refugees, and those who are being evacuated at the moment. We focus on providing assistance to, and we're also trying to target the most vulnerable populations in Ukraine that are affected by war, including IDPs, also residents of newly liberated territories that were under occupation for a certain time, and those Ukrainians who still live near the front lines. And we do offer all kinds of basic necessities and resources to help alleviate some of the hardships that are faced by these communities. We have helped since 2022 close to 300,000 people. In 2023, and I will get back to it, we provided seed packages to over 5,000 people in liberated territories of Kharkiv. Overall humanitarian welfare program has deployed over $10 million in aid. And what we're trying to really focus here is to provide not only material assistance, but really to make sure we can have some sustainable impact in those regions. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, we did 5,000 families with packages of seeds. And now this year in 2024, in the spring, just a few months ago, we were able to distribute over 262,000 packages of seeds. And those seeds were selected and packed in Ukraine from local providers. So we also try to help local businesses and any type of initiative that we have. If we can source it in Ukraine, we do. We have the seed packages, we have food packs. We also employ internally displaced women to make uniforms for Ukrainian soldiers to put together, for example, souvenirs and other initiatives, making sure that we also invest in Ukrainian businesses and hoping to have very sustainable and a long-lasting impact on those communities. Someone was asking about initiatives to support children in Ukraine, where we always welcome them. We have multiple centers that and local organizations that we support. And this is one of the examples where we do art and music classes for children of Kryvyi Rih. In addition to that, in Chernihiv, we have a special school, and this is a sad reality in Ukraine. There is a school that teaches children safety, including how to recognize mines and explosives. And children, we were supporting this school also with all types of art supplies and materials. So children can learn by playing, but they can learn harsh reality. And the goal is so the children are able to recognize dangerous materials that are left by Russian occupants. And as I said at the very beginning, 2014 brought us together when we, as an organization, we were formed. And that was through raising awareness. We continue to raise awareness here in the US by engaging in cultural activities, festivals, fundraising events at churches, concerts. I just shared an example that we had a tour with the famous Ukrainian band Antitila. We also supported another Ukrainian band, Probas and Hardy, with their tour back last summer. They participated at the 4th of July parade with us. And we really, we want to bring attention, we want to keep attention on Ukraine, regardless of the situation in the world, because really Ukraine needs your help and constant help. And this particular program, raising awareness, not only does the cultural engagement, but also we were the founding organization for American Coalition for Ukraine. American Coalition for Ukraine started as 12, 13 organizations that came together in May of 2022 and said, we can advocate for Ukraine together. We should advocate for Ukraine together. And it was led by Razom, and it brought now over 100 organizations, not only Ukrainian, but others who are deeply care about Ukraine and global stability. And they came together to advocate for Ukraine. And I will just give you one example, and which was very powerful for our advocates and our community. We had our 4th summit. So United Help Ukraine also helps organize summits, which those summits bring to Washington, D.C. Hundreds of people. Last one was 400 plus people who came to D.C. to advocate for Ukraine. They would have meetings with their representatives, congressmen, women, and senators, and share their thoughts on how we and how the government should support Ukraine. It was a very powerful moment because right after this last summit, we saw a 61 billion bill of supplemental aid to Ukraine passed, and that was really it was part of the reason why is because so many advocates here in Washington, D.C., but also in different states would come out, would not stop calling, contacting, emailing their representatives until the bill has passed. So that was a great achievement of all the advocates, and we're very happy that we were part of it, of this initiative, and we will continue to be part of this initiative for years to come. So with this, I just want to say that all this work and all of these initiatives and programs and projects would not be possible if not for our team. And this is a picture of our team at the Lincoln Memorial, where we had a rally, which we do hold every year for in February. And the amazing team, I hope that in next webinars I will be bringing my team to the webinars, and they will talk more about their initiatives in more depth, and we'll have a good conversation about, and we already had some really good thoughts and comments today in the chat that people are interested to help. We can certainly grow our community and get as much help as possible and as many people involved as possible. But again, this is an amazing team that works tirelessly day and night, and then they provide really the core foundation for all the initiatives that are happening in Ukraine. And in Ukraine, we now have a subsidiary. We just opened our official representation, our official representative office in Kyiv, Ukraine, in March of 2024. And we have this office focusing on rehabilitation and educational initiatives. And we hope that with the official office in Ukraine, we can do even more. So with this, I would like to, again, thank you all for coming to this webinar. We still have a few minutes. If you would like to ask questions or comments, please leave them in the chat. But really, we can do so much and more when we can do it together, united with all of you. So again, and I'm pretty sure that every single person who was here on this call today, that each person has contributed significantly to our efforts and to overall efforts supporting Ukrainian people. I'm going to back to the chat, and we will be doing those updates. If you can see here, we have a Twitter and Facebook, and you can visit and follow our updates on our website. We also please subscribe to our email list. We have e-blasts that are coming about each and every project with more detail. I just gave you an overview of what we're doing. However, every week we have 2 emails that are going out about either events or initiatives or reports on our past initiatives. And so that's one thing. Webinars will be coming once a month. At the end of each month, we will have a webinar. We're now working on our next speakers. And I did mention, but we already have a wonderful speaker who we're going to have in July. This is the photographer who is now in Ukraine documenting United Help Ukraine's projects. And what we wanted to focus on unsung heroes of Ukraine and their really amazing and very inspiring stories that our photographer Alan Mastel is now documenting in Ukraine. We hope to bring him to our webinar series in July, if not earlier. So stay tuned. We will be letting you know who is coming up next as our webinar speaker. So thank you all so much. And yes, Elizabeth is just putting that we also have new newsletter. It just came out in May. We're going to continue having newsletter where we have a recap of all our monthly activities. And again, subscribe and follow us on social media, but also make sure you receive our emails, because we really want to communicate in great detail so many projects and initiatives that we're working on. And with this, like today, I've seen several people already offering help, and that's great. We would love for you to get involved with our organization, and we always we welcome everyone. And so yes, Kevin, we will definitely chat with you about engineering help. If you want to stay a little longer, I can chat with you when people are leaving. We just don't want to hold everyone here. So with this, I will conclude today's webinar, our very first one. And thank you all for being here. And thank you so much for everything that you do. Continue supporting Ukraine. Thank you.